It's July in the garden, but I tell you what, it might as well be spring. I'm so excited about this time. Here are 4 things you definitely need to be doing in July to have a bigger, better garden. Fertilize. It's time to use or reuse your fertilizer. But through the growing season, your plant's needs have changed. Here's what I use. It's a good organic fertilizer, but if you'll notice, you need to watch your 3 numbers, your nitrogen, potassium, and phosphate. Get one that is richer in the last 2 and a little bit less in your nitrogen because your plant's needs have changed. Now, what I'll do with this particular one is I'll scatter it throughout the bed. I don't just place it around the plants. I scatter it throughout the bed. And remember, your plants' roots are going to go to where they need. They're plants. That's what they're going to do. They're going to seek out the nutrients. So I scatter it throughout the whole bed in order to make my roots chase it out. Now, the reason we started with fertilizer, you'll find out here in a minute. It's the easiest way to do it. Start with your fertilizer, scatter it throughout the bed. Next up is watering. Now, obviously, you should water throughout the season, but I want to talk to you a second about watering. Water deep. And what I say by watering deep is not just a 30-second at the surface water. Water the entire bed because, like I said with the fertilizer, roots are going to do what roots do. They're going to seek out the water. And the easiest way to water deep is to water the entire bed if you can. Now, remember, when it rains during the summer, your plants need about 1 inch of water a week. Now, think about that. If those little thunderstorms that popped up that dumped, a quarter of an inch or even a half an inch, but then you go a whole week with nothing, they did not get enough water during that thunderstorm. So it's important to water your plants deep. Next up is mulching. It's been 3 or 4 months now since we mulched the first time, so it's time to reapply mulch. A good thick layer of mulch will help keep any seeding down. It will help hold moisture in going into the rest of July and August. It'll help hold moisture in so it doesn't evaporate so quick. Now, we started off with fertilizer. You fertilize the area, then you watered it in by watering it deep. Now you cover it up with your mulch. I always keep a bale of straw on hand just so I can reapply through the season. Next up is diseases and pests. Now that we've made it through the powdery mildew phase that hits plants or even the early blight on our tomato plants, doesn't mean we need to let up now. We need to keep an eye on everything. Now remember, when you do find diseased leaves and you trim them away, these need to go in the trash. They don't need to go in your compost pile because then you're just spreading that disease into your compost pile. With your tomato plants, you're going to start getting into even blossom end rot. So a good, consistent watering routine, watering deep, 1 to 2 times a week, like we talked about, is the best way to combat blossom end rot. There's other diseases that you need to worry about, like the squash beetle or squash bug. There's going to be issues with rabbits, with all these things need to keep us on our toes in July and keep a handle on everything. Now for the single best part about being in July. Only half your growing season's over. It's time to plant, plant, plant. Go on the internet, check your area, and find out when the first frost date is for your area. If you think about it, here in Virginia, let's just go with May 1st. From May 1st till today is 78 days. But from today until our first frost is 83 days. So we're only halfway there. It may take a little bit more work with your watering and maybe some shade cloth, but there's so many more things that you can plant in July. And here's a few. Here's just a few of the different things that you can plant in July. Just look at the back of the seed packet. Here's your green onions, 60 days to maturity. Here's your carrots. Carrots have 70 days to maturity. Here's your summer squash. 50 days until harvest. Remember, I've got 83 days left. There's all of these things that I can plant now to have crops later. I tore out this entire bed of cucumber. It was still producing, but 1 to 3, maybe 5 cucumbers a week. It just wasn't cutting it anymore. I lost quite a bit of it to disease early on, so it was time to cut it out. I went ahead and got rid of all of it. Remember, I've already fertilized, but then I went and put in burpless cucumber seeds. I think the days to maturity were like 50. So I'm going to have 50 to 30 days worth of cucumbers by replanting now. Also planted, just for fun, I planted a lemon cucumber. I'm anxious to see exactly how that grows and how it tastes when it's done. Remember, it is July, but only half your growing season is done right now. You still have half to go. I saw a lady just yesterday on one of my sites that lost her entire cucumber bed. And my heart went out to her, but I also thought to myself, plant new. There's still time. Everybody concentrates on spring, but July is a great time to harvest crop or to plant crops that you can harvest in the fall. Thanks for watching.